Welcome back to the Dargslan series. This is part 8, and it's where things start to feel really hands-on. We're stepping into editors and configuration, or as I like to call it, how Linux remembers things. Because here's the secret at the heart of this system. Almost everything Linux knows about itself lives in plain text files. Once you're comfortable opening and editing those files, there's almost nothing on your machine you can't shape. So here's the path we'll walk together in part 8. We'll start with why Linux is so in love with text files, then meet Nano, the gentle, beginner-friendly editor. After that, just enough Vim to survive when Nano isn't around, including the famous question of how to actually exit. Then we'll explore the Dotfiles in your home directory that carry your personal setup, the handful of etc. files everyone eventually meets, and finally the environment variables that quietly shape how every command behaves. And before we touch a single editor, let's pause on the philosophy that makes all of this possible. On Linux, almost everything is just a text file. Your configuration isn't locked away in some opaque registry or binary blob. It's plain, readable text. That one design choice is what makes Linux so powerful. You can read a config with cat, search it with grep, edit it from a graphical tool or over SSH, track every change in Git, and copy the same file across 100 servers. No magic, no special tools, just text. So let's meet our first editor, Nano. It's the gentle one, pre-installed on almost every Linux system, and it works exactly how you'd expect. Open a file, start typing, use the arrow keys, edit. The real kindness of Nano is that little menu along the bottom. Every shortcut you need is right there in front of you. That little caret symbol just means the control key, so Ctrl+O saves your file, Ctrl+X exits. Nothing to memorize, nothing to fear. Now, even though that bottom menu shows you everything, there are 6 shortcuts worth committing to muscle memory. Ctrl+O saves. It'll ask for a file name, but just press Enter to keep the current one. Ctrl+X exits and politely asks if you want to save first. Ctrl+W searches, Ctrl+K cuts a whole line, and Ctrl+U pastes it back. Perfect for moving lines around. And if you ever feel lost, Ctrl+G opens the full help reference. That's really all you need to be productive in Nano. But sooner or later, you'll find yourself on a machine where Nano just isn't there. And that's when Vim saves the day. The trick to Vim is understanding it has modes. When you open a file, you're in normal mode, where every key is a command, not a letter. Press I to start typing, ESC to go back. Use H, J, K, L to move around, GG and G to jump to the top or bottom, and when you're done, type :WQ to save and quit. That's genuinely enough to survive. And speaking of escaping Vim, this is famously the most Googled programming question of all time. So let's settle it for good. First, press ESC to guarantee you're in normal mode. If you're unsure, just press it twice. Then decide. Keep your changes or toss them. To save and quit, type :WQ and hit Enter. To bail out without saving, it's :Q exclamation. That exclamation mark tells Vim you really mean it. So with both editors in your toolkit, which one should you actually reach for? Nano is your everyday companion, perfect for quick tweaks, small config changes, or any moment when you just want to get in, fix a line, and get out without thinking. Vim earns its place when you're living inside a file for hours, when keystrokes start to add up, or when you find yourself on a stripped-down server where Nano simply isn't there. Use Nano first, use it often, and climb toward Vim when the moment feels right. And once you can edit files comfortably, a whole new world opens up. Your personal configuration. These are the Dotfiles, little hidden files in your home directory that start with a dot. Your shell remembers its aliases in bashrc, Vim reads its preferences from vimrc, Git knows who you are thanks to gitconfig, and SSH learns your shortcuts in ssh-config. Back them up, carry them between machines, and your environment feels like home everywhere you log in. Let's make this concrete. Open your .bashrc and add a few aliases. L for a detailed listing, G is as a shortcut for git status, even 2 dots to jump up a directory. Set nano as your default editor, add your own bin folder to the path so personal scripts just work, and tweak the prompt to your taste. One small thing to remember, these changes won't take effect until you reload the file with source bashrc, or simply open a new terminal. Now let's step outside your home folder and into etc., the place where system-wide settings live. There are 5 files here worth knowing by name. Etc. Host name holds your machine's name in a single line. Etc. Hosts maps IP addresses to names locally, which is why 127.001 always answers as localhost. etc/stab tells Linux which file systems to mount at boot. etc/ssh config controls how the SSH server behaves. And etc sudoers decides who can run what with sudo. All of these need root to edit, and for sudoers especially, never open it directly. Always use vsudo, which checks your syntax before saving and can spare you from locking yourself out. From system files, let's shift to something that lives in your shell itself. Environment variables. Think of them as little notes your shell carries around, available to every command you run. A quick echo. Home shows your home directory. Echo path lists where the shell hunts for programs, and env dumps the whole set. The ones worth memorizing are path, home, user, shell, editor, and lang. Set editor to nano or vim, and tools like git will quietly do the right thing. Now, setting those variables comes in 3 flavors, each with a different lifetime. Put editor vim right in front of git commit, and it only applies to that single command. Perfect for one-offs. Use export editor nano on its own, and it sticks around for the rest of your shell session, vanishing when you close the terminal. And if you want it to follow you everywhere, append that export line to your bashrc, and every new shell will load it automatically. Before we wrap up, let's talk about 3 mistakes that bite almost every beginner. First, never open the sudoers file directly with nano. One typo, and you're locked out of sudo for good. Use sudo vsudo instead. It checks your syntax and refuses to save anything broken. Second, always make a quick backup before editing system files. Sudo cp file back takes 5 seconds and can save your boot. And third, when adding to your path, never replace it. Always append with a colon and $path, or you'll lose access to basic commands like ls. So let's pull this whole part together into 5 ideas worth carrying with you. Linux configuration lives in plain text. That's its quiet superpower, because anything readable is also editable and version controllable. Start with nano, then learn just enough vim to survive when it's the only editor available. Remember that .files in your home are yours alone, while etc. belongs to the whole system and demands sudo, backups, and vsudo. And finally, 3 scopes for environment variables. 1 command, 1 session, or forever in bashrc. Pick the one that fits the job. And that brings us to the threshold of Part 9, where we step into systemed, the quiet conductor behind every service running on your machine. You'll meet systemctl, learn how units and targets shape the boot process, and discover how Linux starts, supervises, and gracefully stops the programs that keep your system alive. 8 of 24 done, 16 still ahead. Go ahead and run systemctl start next lesson. I'll see you there.